Alright, hello everyone, this is 707 Bros Town with another video. This time we're gonna draw a Kyogre. So as you guys can see on screen, this is how he ends up looking like. So if you guys want to learn how to draw him, let's get started. I'm also gonna put up the reference right now, that way it'd be easier for you guys, and at the same time you guys can know what I'm talking about during the video. Alright, so first of all, we're just gonna start with this line right here. It's basically where the eye is, and we're just gonna mark off where the eye should be. The line on the right side should be smaller than the one on the left, but for now we're gonna use this line and the eye line and the eye to base basically the whole drawing, or the whole body and everything else. So this one just extend a little bit. This one should be a little bit longer, and just keep in mind that it's not gonna look like the reference 100%. That's one of those reasons that I put the reference there, just so you guys can see it. Alright, so now we're gonna do the bottom. So we're just gonna look at the gap that it makes, how far the line is from the eye line, and it's around there. So we're just gonna do the bottom part. Is basically like a boat right here, like a boat shape, with the front being pointier than the right side. So just go step by step, take your time, pause the video, and I'll also use the reference just so you guys can see what I'm doing during the video, or what I'm talking about. Alright. Also, if you guys want to share your drawings, if you want to share this drawing once you're finished with me at 707 Bros Town, to be featured at the beginning of my videos, for example. Alright, so right here I'm just showing that it should be roughly twice the length from the bottom line to the eye. So I mark it off once, and then it should be a little bit higher than that. And it's just a rough estimate, it's not exactly, but it's just to get an idea of what we're gonna do. So it's almost, I think, twice the length of that gap on the mouth to the eye. I'm just gonna go slow. Right here, the line with the wing, it connects pretty close. There's a small gap right there. Just go slow by slow and just compare everything else. Alright, so now the gap right here from the eye is roughly the same length of the flipper. So that's why I pointed it out. Right here I just do a line just to extend it a little bit, just so we can see where he's heading. And then we're going to start adding small details just to get the actual shape. And I'm just marking off some of the lines that he has on the body. And then this one's like the red one, I think. And then roughly around there he has the tail, which is a straight line going to the right. And I'm showing that it's around there, like the same length as that. And we're just gonna extend it a little bit. So we're gonna go little by little, mark spots off, points, that way we can know where it is, and basically just get a better idea of where everything's gonna be. So right here we're just gonna make another gap. It's roughly, I guess, smaller than the flipper one. And now that's the tail. So you guys see we're going little by little. We're not doing big lines or finishing things off. So right here is those white lines. I'm seeing how high they go, and then I make one, and I think I make all of them. So right here what I'm doing is just comparing everything with everything around it. That way we could get a better shape and a better rough sketch of the whole drawing. And then this is the red line. I see how high it is compared to the other lines. It goes in a little bit like that. And then I guess directly on top of that, that's where the fin starts of that line, if you do a straight line going up. Alright, so now we're roughly gonna try to connect those two lines to get the body shape. It's just a rough sketch right now. If once we start adding more details, if it doesn't line up, then we could always change it. So first I want to do that fin just to get an idea. Alright, so now we're gonna do the tail. Trying to get that shape, you know, just looking at the reference and then looking at the drawing, trying to get it the same. Alright, this is my first time drawing Kyogre. So we're learning together. I don't know if it's your first time. I imagine it is. So we're gonna learn together, you know. Alright, so right here I'm just looking at see if it lines up the shape and everything. Alright, so we could erase that reference line from the eye, and I guess I start doing it right here. So it's basically almost a circular shape, and it doesn't start exactly where the line starts. It's a little higher than that. Maybe you guys can notice on the reference. And then he has another one. Start on one side, point A, and then point B, and then just connect them. It just makes it easier. And then he has a smaller one right at the top. And then he has a small dot for the actual eye. Alright, so I do color in the dark area just to make it look like him a little more. And at the same time, it inspires us because we know he's looking like him, you know. So we can do those small details just to inspire. Alright, so now this line, I believe, is the red one, the one that glows, that connects to the fin. So we're gonna start doing this fin. And as you guys can see, it's not straight up, it's leaning a little bit to the right like a shark fin. And I believe I changed this line a little bit. Curves just a little bit, not that much, and then it just goes into this shark fin. So I was just pointing out that it should roughly line up with the tail. It's just small details to get a better how should I say, to get the size a little bit closer, you know what I mean. Alright, so now for the tail, we start doing the tail. So it curves up. Just looking at the reference, looking at the curve that it makes. Right here I'm just pointing out that it should be a little bit further than that, than the bottom part. And now the gap, we're gonna start, it's basically the same gap as the bottom part. I'm pointing that out right now. And just try to make it even all along the same line, the one in the bottom. So it should be the same gap in the middle throughout the tail. So right here I'm just marking it off for the little gap for the other tail. Small gap. Not that big, as you guys can see. And right here I'm just gonna finish off the tip of the tail. I think I do change it. I changed some of it. Like I said, this is just a rough draft. Once we got most of the drawing done, we could go back and just make any changes, because any mistakes are gonna be more noticeable once we got most of the drawing done. Alright, so the gap for the other side, so it's roughly around there. It's a little bit smaller than the other one, and like I said before, just try to be accurate. And then we'll start point A, and this is point B, so I mark it off where it should end. Right here I'm just marking the other one. Better way to change it. I erase it just to clean it up. And just remember that it doesn't have to be 100% like the reference. You guys can make any small changes just to make the drawing work for you, because if you try to make it 100% like the reference, it's gonna just frustrate you, and especially if it's not turning out the same. It's really hard to get it the same unless you really plan it out. But just remember, you guys can make any changes just to make it work for you. I do that in this drawing, that's why it doesn't end up looking 100%. Alright, so now for this tail, he does have two of those. So this one's a little bit smaller than the one on the right, and it's basically makes the same shape. And this is the one that connects to the outer one, and we got the tail done. Alright, so now for this, I'm just gonna extend them a little bit. We're gonna do those, I guess they're the flippers, a little bit later, but they do get a little bit longer or wider as they go along. Right now I'm just making a line just to get the, like, where it goes, the angle of the tail. We'll do that a little bit later. We're gonna leave the flippers to the last minute. Alright, so now we're gonna, right here I'm just doing the, I guess, the red area. I really can't see it right now because I'm looking at the video of me drawing it. I'm doing a voiceover and it's just too small for me to see the gap. On your guys' screen, I'm gonna get a little bit closer. I'm gonna zoom in so you guys are gonna get a better look at it or view. But right here I'm having trouble looking at the small gap. And then we're just gonna connect it. The other side connects with this one, and just try to do the same gap on this side as you did for the flipper, or throughout the whole drawing. As you guys can see, he also has it on the eyes, on the mouth area, so it just connects to there. We could erase those reference lines that we did, and we can start doing the tail, I guess. Yeah. Alright, so this way it starts off. I'm looking at the flipper, and then there's another, it starts off on the other side there. So we're just gonna do a straight line going that way, and it just goes a little bit further than the tail, the actual tail, like the point and the tail. And then that's another one, smaller one. Doesn't meet up exactly at the point of the flipper, of the, not the flipper, the, what is it, the shark fin. And then this one does go roughly around there, so then this is where it ends, and then we'll just connect them. So if it doesn't match up like that, you guys could just change the fin, or just change the angle of the tail, or basically just do the tail but try to make it your own way, and try to stick to the reference, but just make it your own way, you know, make it work for you. If it doesn't match up right, just try to make it look right, you know. So right here we're gonna do the other shark fin, and right there I marked off that they should be roughly on the same level as the other one. Right here I'm just making sure that it does look like it looks similar to the other one, the same size, the same length and everything, although it should be a little bit smaller since it is further away. It should be like at the same angle, as you know. And right here I'm just gonna do this little fin right here that sticks out, and right there I was pointing out that it starts roughly under the eye, the right side of the eye. And right here I make it a little bit too long, so I do erase and make it a little bit shorter, because it doesn't stick out that much from the actual body. So as you guys see, I'm basing everything else on everything else. So I started basing the body off that line that we did for the eye, and we used the same lines to do the tails, to how thick they are. So I'm basing everything off whatever we do, and at the end it just works out, you know what I mean. Alright, so now we're gonna do the shape right here of the mouth. Right here I'm just pointing out that to remind you guys that it's the same gap right here too for the red area, because it has like a neon stripe. There we go, we'll call it a stripe. And I was just pointing out that it should like be the same. For example, look at it as a snake that is the same fat all along. So on the fins, it should be the same gap, you know what I mean. So right there I'm just erasing some of those reference lines, just cleaning it up a little bit. Sometimes it gets messy with all those eraser bits. Alright, so right here I was just looking at the shape of the top of the head, and for some reason it didn't look right. Although I could have left it like that, because like I said before, we're not trying to do exactly the same as the reference, because I'm trying to make it work for me. So if it doesn't look right on my drawing, I'll make it work. I'll make any small changes just so it could look okay, you know what I mean. Make it look a little bit better, even if it's not the same as the reference. And that's something you guys could do the same for your drawing. So I feel this is a little bit better. I just changed the angle, not that much. You guys can see where I erased the other line. So right here I'm just marking off where the other fin should start, and just get the point A, point B. And what I was doing right here, I actually have my tablet. I have the reference on my tablet, and I was just roughly getting a measurement of how big the what's it called, the fins are to the actual body. So I'm using the pencil right here to mark off roughly the length of the fins. So I just make a point right there, and it's roughly from the tip of the tail to where the mouth starts, and then I just connect them right here to make that fin. And I'm just looking at the shape that the fin makes on the reference, just to get a rough shape of it. But I do make it a little bit shorter. For some reason it didn't look right. It was too long for my drawing, so I make it a little bit shorter. Not by much, but I do, as you guys can see right here. It almost looks like a boat paddle. Have you seen those wooden boat paddles for like the canoes where you push the water? You know what I mean? It kind of makes that shape, if you guys notice. So I do make it a little bit smaller, not by much. So right here I'm just doing like a line, trying to level it out to roughly place the other one, because it doesn't meet up at the same level. And then this one, the shape's a little bit different. The left side should be lower than the right side, as you guys can see. The right side like curves into the left side. It's not like the other flipper that it's the same, almost the same thing on both sides. Alright, so now for the small details, for example these spots on the top of his head, I'm just looking at the distance that each spot makes to each side of it. For example, how far the spot is to the eye, and how far the same spot is to the top of the head, to the outline. And then it just helps me place it. Alright, so right here I'm just fixing the fin. We can make any small changes later on, you know what I mean? We're just trying to get a rough shape of it. And just with the outline of the flipper, she's starting to look like a Kyogre. And now for the, I don't know what they are. I'm just marking them off to get the right distance. For example, the gap of how long they are, how the width of it. So that's why I do these lines. It's like planning ahead, just to see that it is gonna meet up, and then I just start doing them once I have them. So this one goes in a little bit, as you can see on the reference, and then I'm just looking how big they are and the shape that it makes. Like for example, this one makes kind of like a rectangle shape. And then look at the gap that the other one's in. For as you guys can see, I made a gap, and then this one I made it roughly the same size as the other one, the first one that we did. And it's also like a rectangle square shape. I just try to make them the same size because it should roughly be the same size. Here's the other one, and just look at the gaps, because if you make one further apart than the other, it's just not gonna look right, you know. And he does have 4, I think. So this one's a little bit smaller since it is going a little bit further from us, and then this one's sticking out from the previous one. And there we go, we got I don't know what they're called, I guess the fingers. Alright, so now for this side we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna mark out where they should stick out, mark them right here. And I do this just so I can know that everything's gonna fit, and it's just planning ahead, you know. The gap, I was just pointing out that it should be the same gap. Here's another one, so that's 3 right there, and then the 4th one right here. I know this might be a little bit confusing, but basically what I'm doing is just marking off where everything should be. You guys don't have to do this. You guys can just look at the reference or just look at my drawing and place them on your own. Although this the fingers on this fin are gonna be a little bit smaller than the other one because it is further away from us. So try to make these the same size as the other fingers in the same hand. And right here I'm just looking at the shapes that it makes on the reference. And we're done. I'm sorry if you guys are having trouble with Kyogre. He actually is a little bit hard because he just has I'm guessing it gets harder when it's more simple, if that makes sense, because when it's simple shapes, I don't know, it's just harder to get those exact shapes, or at least for me it is. Alright, so we're done right here. We got most of everything done. The only thing we need is just the details. Right now, like as you guys see, I didn't start doing the inside of the flippers. I go to other spots, because if you stick on the same spot in the same areas, you start to focus on those areas and then you lose focus on the other parts. So it's good to move from one part to another. That way when you go back to it, you're gonna get like a new view of it, and you guys are gonna notice any new mistakes or anything like that, you know what I mean, or you're just gonna get a better look at it. Alright, so now for the circle right here, I'm just marking off the same thing like I did for the fingers. I'm just looking at where the lines come off from the fingers, and then I noticed that on each hand at the middle it kind of makes like an A, the letter A. So that's one of those things that I base everything off, since it looks kind of like an A. So this is where I started doing the A, like I said before. And just try to make those gaps from those the same as well. So now that I got those off, we can start doing the actual circle. It makes like a letter O. So as you can see, instead of placing the letter O first and then doing the letter A and all those details, I started doing the details that way I know that they should be on the right spot. And then right here I was just looking at the reference of where the O meets, how close the O meets to the body. And then right here I'm just using my fingers. You guys can use a paper, your pencil, or whatever, to roughly measure the size of each circle, of each letter. It's basically like an oval, but let's just say it's a letter O. And because they're roughly the same size. Right here, like right here, I'm using my pencil just to roughly get that size. You guys were never to see, but they were pretty close, so I'm gonna leave it like that. And the reason I started doing the O on the other side first is because I could use the other one just to make sure that I'm putting it in the right spot, you know what I mean. And if I would have started another flipper first, I would have used the same thing. I would have started measured the size of the O to put it on the one that I'm working on right now. Right here I'm just making sure that the shape is the same. Now for the details, like I said before, I do the same thing. I look where it starts from the fingers, and then I connect them, and also makes this letter A. The top is a little bit smaller, and then it just makes the gap. And once again, just try to make those lines, the gaps, those stripes, the same as others. The same, like the same fat, the same skinny, or the same gap. That's what a gap is. As you guys see, it makes the letter A, capital A that is. And now we're gonna do the rest. Now that we got that A there, we could base the rest of it from there, but I'm still looking where they start from the fingers. So now we can start on this side. As you guys can see, I started on one side and then I went to the other. One of those things that you guys could do just to make it better. Same thing on this side. So basically it's the same thing on this side. And yeah, so that's a good tip right there, where you start one thing and then you go back to it. For example, if you're having trouble with this drawing right now, just take a break, you know, go outside, go to the bathroom, get something to drink, and then come back and you're gonna get a like a new look of the drawing. So it's gonna be a little bit easier, because when you focus too much on one thing, you focus too much, you know what I mean? So you're gonna have trouble looking at other things, noticing other small things. So when you take a break and you come back, you're gonna be your mind's is gonna be a little bit more clear. So you guys are gonna be noticing more stuff, you know, than if you just stick to one area. So that's why sometimes I skip areas, go from one part to the other. That way it turns out a little bit better. And then the gap in the inside, once again, it's roughly the same as the one from like the letter A and those lines coming away from it, and it's the same on the other side. So it's all about just placing it, knowing where to place it. Once you have the circle, the oval, the O placed, then from there you can base the whole everything else on from it, you know. And I think this, I don't do that much to it right now. I just do any small changes, but you guys can stop here or you guys could just keep on watching. Right now I'm gonna show you how mine ended up, because I do go back and I make small changes to it. So I explain what I changed and everything else, and then just talk about my channel. So you guys can stop from here and just go on, do it yourselves, just clean it up, make any small changes. But I'm gonna show a picture of how it ended up looking like the one in the beginning, and I'll just explain what I did and what I changed, and just give some tips and just talk about my channel. So you guys can stick with me, because it is almost 30 minutes long. So I think I stopped right here. Yeah, so right here, this out here ended up looking like, as you guys can see, I just cleaned it up. I just erased some of those reference lines. I erased just those the rough sketch of it, and just made a thin line throughout the whole drawing. As you guys can see, it didn't turn out exactly like the reference, but we were pretty close. I like how he came out. Like, if I don't look at the reference and I'm just looking at my drawing, he does look like Kyogre. Now that I'm looking at the drawing again, I'm actually impressed that he came out that good, because I haven't gone to school like other YouTubers. I didn't go to school. I didn't have no art classes or anything like that. I just had a couple in high school, but they don't really teach you that much, you know what I mean? So I'm self-taught. So I hope you guys found this video, this tutorial helpful, because that's what I'm going for, you know what I mean? I'm just here to help you guys, so hopefully you guys found this helpful, and if you did, please leave a like. It really helps me out. And also subscribe if you want more tutorials, because I do a lot of tutorials right now. I have over 60 tutorials on my channel. And now back to Kyogre. As you guys can see, I didn't color them. Maybe you guys noticed that the thumbnail is colored, and it's actually the same drawing right here, the same one. The only thing, and the reason that it's colored and this one is not, is because I actually import my drawing, a picture of my drawing, to my tablet, and then I have an app where I just basically just trace my own drawing, you know what I mean? And then I just color it, since basically it has every color there, you know, the palette's endless. So I could get closer colors to a Kyogre, because I do have color pencils, I do have markers, but I don't have the exact colors for this one. So until I get better markers, like those Copic markers, I won't color my drawings, because I'm pretty bad at coloring. I don't want to ruin the drawing, you know what I mean? So for now, I'm just gonna leave it like this in pencil, and at the same time, you guys get a better overall look of the drawing. So you guys could base your drawing of this one, or you guys could just look at the reference that I posted up. And yeah, so hopefully you guys color it, because it does look way better in color. But like I said, I'm really bad at coloring because I've never really colored any of my drawings, so I'm pretty bad at it. I need more practice with it, but yeah, so like I said, hopefully you guys found this tutorial helpful. I have more tutorials on my channel, from starters to mega Pokemon. From starters, like the ones that I've done is I guess Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Fennekin, Turtwig, Froakie, what is it called? The one that evolves from Servine. I forgot his name. I can't believe I forgot his name. But I have a ton of videos. Piplup. I have a lot right now. Totodile. Who else? Cyndaquil is one of my recent ones. And then random Pokemon in between, like Lugia, Lucario, Charizard. Who else? I've done Victini. He's one of my previous ones too. So yeah, so I got a ton of videos. Right now my most popular ones are the mega Pokemon, but those are some of my first videos, so they're a little bit longer than some of my recent ones, because there I would talk live. Right here I'm doing a voiceover, so I do the drawing without talking, and then I just look at the drawing and just just talk with my microphone. That way it's a little bit clearer, and it's a little bit faster. But back then I wouldn't do that. I would just record myself drawing, and I would talk at the same time. So that's why some of those videos are a little bit longer, but they're still pretty helpful. You know, I'm getting pretty good feedback from those videos, those tutorials. So if you guys want to go check those out, go check them out. So yeah, so like I said before at the beginning, you guys saw some pictures. Those are actually from my nephew Brian. He got those off some of my tutorials. So if you guys want to send in your drawings too, to be on my future videos with your name on it, just like I said, share them with me on Twitter at 707 Rosetown. There'll be the name at the bottom, or just find a way to send your drawings, and then I'll be happy to post them on my channel, because at the same time I want to know how they turn out. You know, I want to see your artwork, and as of now I haven't received any other than my nephew, my niece. So I'm really hoping you guys send your drawings in, that way I can see them. And like I said, if you guys want me to post them on my next videos at the beginning, I can. So yeah, so I just want to say thanks for watching. Stay tuned for my next video. I'm actually gonna do Snorlax, so you guys can look forward to that one. I actually already drew it. I just need to do the voiceover and edit it. After this one, I'm gonna do this one first. So yeah, so I just want to say thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and to subscribe for more videos. 707 Rosetown out.